let me tell you something. What do you think has fundamentally changed since the Ford company started building cars? What is the difference? What is the main difference from a car that the Ford company has originally produced from their assembly lines and a car that's being produced in Germany at the moment?
My answer would be nothing.
Josh?
My answer would be computerized control systems to get an extra 20% efficiency, or maybe 30%.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is, but it's like less than 50% efficiency gain, I think.
But fundamentally, the concept of a car didn't change much, right? 4 wheels, a steering wheel, a driver, and an appropriate carrying potential, passenger or some kind of load. But the concept of car didn't change much, I think.
Right.
Exactly.
So, okay.
And this is, to put it in context, this is how many years, right? This is, Ford was doing what, in the...
Like 100.
100 years.
Well, I don't know. What year is the Ford Model T?
Almost 100 years. Yeah, you can say 100 years.
Okay, 100 years. Yeah, that doesn't feel like that short of a time because it's a lifespan, but that's a long time as far as innovation goes, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we should be moving around with some other type of vehicle, for example.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You know, one example that I put a while ago, so when they were doing that...
No. I was going to ask 2 more things, then I was going to say...
Please do. Sorry.
Yeah, I like that.
What about the telecommunications technology? Radio waves and stuff. Is there anything fundamentally different from simple radio communication and the communication we use today?
I guess there's a directionality. Radio was one direction from a centralized location, whereas a lot of the technologies we have now, it's bidirectional and distributed.
Okay.
So it's closer to like a centralized versus distributed model. But I mean, I guess it depends what you're talking about, because you could say, well, CNN is still really similar to TV in the 50s, let's say.
I was not asking that, but essentially everything that happens in telecommunications happens around the electromagnetic field knowledge. I can at least say.
I see what you're saying.
If you're graduated from a university with an electronics engineering degree in communications, the information that you use is not any different than the information that has been used to invent the first radio. The basic formulas didn't change.
Right, we're still moving light, like electromagnetic.
For example, they are talking about 5G at the moment, but the fundamental theory didn't change. Only the application, the engineering potential has changed a little bit, so they can squeeze more bytes and bits into shorter wavelengths.
Yeah, it's just really fancy frequency modulation.
Just carrying information with waves.
Right.
So, the information that is being used to transport things in the air, the top of the pyramid is like throwing things into the space and landing them onto some other planets and stuff. Regardless of the complexity of the technology, the main formulas, the knowledge that makes these things possible is just Newtonian physics. So there's nothing much changed over there as well. The application potential and the applicability of things have evolved, but the basic knowledge about the universe did not change much. What we knew about electromagnetic field, thus radio communication, thus 5G internet technology, is all dependent on just few lines of formulas that you can summarize. So electromagnetic force. So the car moves on the street obeying the laws of physics, something that Newton wrote like 200 years ago, 300 years ago. And even our basic biological information is not new. Whatever has been discovered in the field of biology, these genes, expressions and stuff, is still the same information. But more people apply it, the more technological support is involved into it, so we can do things faster. But essentially the basic knowledge that we have about these domains haven't changed much. No new knowledge is added into the library. My question is there anything more to be discovered so that our understanding will change dramatically? For example, cars will fly, or there is nothing to discover. There are no other fields in the universe that we can be aware of, so that there's not going to be any more new discoveries other than the electromagnetic field, gravitation, Einstein's relativity, quantum, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think cars flying is a great example, because planes are cars flying. They drive on the runway.
Yeah. Okay.
But there's clearly a liability to flying cars, and that's why cars don't fly. Right?
Perhaps like maybe, so you're talking about maybe something almost like akin to a new fundamental force or a new dimension, like some way we could tap into some strange quantum hidden variables and control them.
Because every engineering effort, every design effort starts by understanding a natural something, natural force or a natural phenomena. Then afterwards you develop understanding in the essence of the knowledge of that sort of thing. Then a field of engineering or field of design emerges out of it. So we have to have something new to design new things, I think. Otherwise, we are going to improve our existing technology, our existing things to a better place. Like Josh said like 10 minutes ago, the cars will be more intelligent maybe, but the car will be a car.
That's beautiful. And
which,
go ahead.
Sorry, I'm just curious. I mean, do you have any speculation on that, Korkut, or like even in terms of the field? I mean, you know,
I have one speculation, which is a huge speculation. Few years ago, like not few years ago, almost 12 years ago, I was here in Kaş for a vacation, and during those times when I was over here, we were very philosophical, discussing about almost anything. It was just like an escape bubble. And one of my friends and we were having our drinks and we were discussing the universe, but in a more spiritual way. And he asked me, "You're the engineer, my friend, and you know the physical domain better than I do," he said. "Is there anything faster in the universe than light?" That was the question. And I said, "No, as far as we know, there isn't. All the formulas and observations and all these experiments just conclude themselves to be the fastest thing in the universe is the speed of light. So it's like a speed barrier. May I ask you something?" he said, following that. And he said, "Okay, did you happen to have these moments where you think about someone and that someone just calls you?" "Yes, I have those moments," I said. "Or something just comes to your mind and suddenly that thing appears in front of your eyes. For example, you remember some friend of yours and that friend just turns the corner and you just say hi." "Yes, these things happen," I say. don't you think that these things, the thing that comes to your mind is faster than light, he said. We were quite drunk though, when we were discussing this.
Understandable. There's that old quote that says that there's no philosophy amongst the water drinkers.
Then something hit me. It's like, I told him, like, the light requires electromagnetic field to exist, to come into being. So light is the outcome of the electromagnetic field. So essentially the speed of light is the speed limit for the electromagnetic field. Maybe there is this other field, some other field, where it's like a thought field, awareness field. I don't know, I can't name it. But there's this other field where everything happens instantaneously, so you can communicate instantaneously. There's this quantum entanglement thing, which is very weird. It is not bound by space, and it is essentially instantaneous communication. You change the spin of one particle over here, that instantaneously changes spin. The other equivalent, the entangled part, changes spin at a distance. The distance is not a limiting factor. It can be the two sides of the United States, or one here on Earth, the other is on the moon, or even on Mars, or I don't know, God knows where. When you change the spin of one particle, the entangled pair changes its spin as well instantaneously. That's been measured. So the speed limit of light does not apply to this phenomenon. So I think when you look from this perspective, the existence of time should be reconsidered, or does it really exist, kind of understanding should emerge. For example, myself today and the myself tomorrow, could they be in communication? For example, I will most probably remember what I have spoken with you today.
Right.
But myself from yesterday could only contemplate what I might possibly speak with you today. So remembering and contemplation, are they the same thing? Or can we hack this? This is my speculative side working at the moment.
Yeah, I like the picture you painted around it. It's fascinating. I've heard of that spooky movement at a distance, I think is what they call the quantum entanglement.
Spooky action at a distance.
Spooky action. And exactly. I mean, it's something that's well documented that we think, I think there's some explanation of how it doesn't violate that speed limit, but it does.
Yeah, there
very
is
clearly.
An explanation.
Like you can't transmit information faster than light somehow still, but regardless, it's fascinating because you might say, okay, that's a weird quantum phenomena, and it doesn't apply to humans or things on a larger kind of magnitude, physical magnitude. But there's more research now on the consciousness side that say that there are structures within the brain that are so small that they work within these quantum, situations, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
If so, that kind of does open up all the quantum magic and interesting, strange phenomena in terms of human experience and consciousness. Maybe, I don't know. I think it's still up.
Okay, let's think this within the terms of design. For example, in quantum computation, they're taking advantage of this entanglement principle, and it plays a major role in the quantum computation thing. And so, for example, in linear classical computation, you always have to have some empty space in your computational domain. So if you want to do something, you have to shift things into this empty space, then do things over here, then shift it backwards like that. It's like a tape. It's a continuous tape that's making the calculations. So any discrepancy in the tape affects the outcome.
Right.
And everything happens in a sequential and linear way. But in quantum computation, all the possible outcomes should be taken into account before you come to a conclusion. It's a little bit, at this point, my language skills are limiting me. Sorry for that.
No, I think talking about quantum phenomena, everyone's language skills are limited because we don't have words to describe these things. A superposition, right? A superposition is a summary of all the possible
superposition is an
outcomes.
outcome of this, but this quantum entanglement is something else. For example, like think about a tree. For example, you have one state over here. This state can be this or that. This is classical computation. Then you can put another tree over here. So if you arrive at this state, then you can go to this state and you can go to this other state. So you can create the tree-like structure to define information in the classical sense. But when you do the exact same computation on the quantum domain, the outcome here automatically affects the outcome here as well.
Oh, right. Huh.
Okay, so because here it is the superposition of these two. But there is no time because it requires a certain time to reach to this location in classical sense. In quantum computation, the change over here happens instantaneously over here, and the change over here instantaneously influences its past. So